I met a man through POF, Plenty of Fish. His name was Michael Woodward. He said he was in the U.S. Army and asked if we could get to know each other and that he loved my profile picture. His picture was of a military guy in fatigues, but looking at the uniform and knowing my cousin was in the Army, I knew the man in the photo was wearing a uniform that the Army wore in 2001 for the invasion of Afghanistan. Also, the sunglasses and other key items in the photo, including a Coke can that the soldier was holding, was an old design. I humored myself, though, and kept talking to him. He then asked if we could text on Hangouts as it's unsafe to talk on POF, or so he said. I was bored and decided to amuse myself by adding him on a Hangouts Gmail that I never used often. He then connected with me on Hangouts and told me the story. He's a widow, wife died of cancer, and he has a 6-year-old boy named James who is in the military daycare that all soldiers get when they are widows. That's a new one on me. He said he was in Syria for the war and peacekeeping. I decided to call his bluff and asked him for his phone number. He then told me phone calls are forbidden by the military and sent a photo of a soldier standing near a sign that says no cell phone. I've seen the photo before on fake profiles, and the photo itself is likely 20 years old. He told me he was looking for a wife and a woman to be the mother of his child. He said he would be deployed for 10 more months and then retire forever. I asked him how old he is, and he told me he was 39 and that all soldiers retire at age 40. I laughed to myself as my cousin is in his 50s and still active in the military. He texted me some mumbo-jumbo about love and relationships, his likes, dislikes, food, cinema, swimming, the normal garbage these scammers spew. I then got bored with his copy and paste crap and decided to hit the video call button. I guess it caught him off guard, or he accepted it by mistake, but the camera came on and there sat a young guy, I would say about 17 to maybe 20 years old. He was Nigerian and from Nigeria. He quickly covered his camera with his hand. When I asked him who was the man in the camera, he became very angry and said I should have never video called him because I've disclosed his secret military location and that he had a terrorist made his way in front of the camera and he was nearly killed by this so-called terrorist that had appeared on my camera. I laughed and told him off, and he finally confessed to me that he was a 19-year-old guy from Nigeria trying to scam for money for school. I blocked him and reported the fake POF profile. I was chatting online to a guy named Harrison Jones. We met on Zeus, and he had me connect to WhatsApp after a short conversation. He had a U.S. number, which I later found out was a Google Voice app number. He said he was 56, an engineer on an oil rig. He said he was a widow. His wife died years ago in a car accident, and he had his son who was 18 years old and going to college in the UK. He voice chatted me a few times, often calling in the middle of the night, professing his love. He sent poems, YouTube songs, and they were always gushy romance songs. He would text me good morning and good night, my queen, almost every single morning and evening. We voice chatted on and off for a few weeks. He said he was born in Russia, but raised in Sweden, and his mother was Swedish, but his father was half Chinese and half Korean, so he had a mixed accent. Nothing about his accent was Russian, Swedish, Chinese, or Korean, but okay, whatever. I had suspicions he was a scammer, and I knew about romance scams, but I kept an open mind, and that maybe he might be real. He'd not asked for anything, at least not yet. One night he called me and said his oil rig part exploded, killing 2 workers. He said he was responsible for the explosion and that he had to pay the workers' family money for their death or he would be thrown in prison. He said he came up with $35,000 but needed another $10,000 to cover the costs. He asked if I would send it via Bitcoin and he would pay me back once he finished his contract. He would hound me day and night for money for a few days. I played along with him and told him that I needed to wait for my rich uncle to send me the money and then I would send it to him. I kept waiting and for a few days kept talking to him all day about how he felt about me. He kept sending me more and more gushy love songs. I was making him talk and just wasting his time at this point. Then, when I knew it was very late in the night in West Africa, where I suspected he was from, I called him on WhatsApp over and over again. I then called using video, and much to my delight and surprise, a sleepy scammer answered the phone and didn't realize it was me calling, or maybe he didn't look at the number. But there he was in his shirtless glory. He looked shocked, and I told him not to turn the camera off. I wanted to know who I was really talking to, and to stop lying, as I have money for him. He confessed to me that he was 23 years old, from Ghana, in school, and scamming for cash. I told him what I thought of him, and then he tried to romance me as himself, saying he really loves me, age is just a number, and that he'll stop scamming because my love saved him. I laughed and blocked him. But the shock on his face when he woke up enough to realize he was talking to his so-called client and not a scammer buddy was priceless. He looked terrified, and he knew the jig was up. I met Lim on Facebook. His profile stated that he was of a mixed parentage, similar as I am, Singapore Chinese mixed with Malaysian Malay. He claimed that he was raised in New York. He looks genuinely Chinese rather than mixed, with a masculine body. He has all the telltale signs of a scammer, the endearments and the cheesy remarks. On top of that, he uses religion to make it believable. He asked me to chat with him on WhatsApp before he moved to Hangouts. He did ask if he could talk to me via a WhatsApp call, but I refused. So we talked on my secondary mobile phone, as well as a secondary Hangout account. I used a fake name, but my profile picture was from 10 years ago, and all I gave him was my surname. He said he's flying to Malaysia to claim his inheritance and his dad's retirement money. His parents died on a plane crash, and they were one of the shareholders of Petroleum Company. The worst fake story a scammer can come up with. I mean, his profile states that he is 46 years old. He should have done those ages ago. He asked me to marry him so that I can get access to the inheritance and retirement money. As if I do not know the legal system in my own country and how it works. I kept mum and brushed off the marriage topic aside, and he was persistent to persuade me on how much he loves me. At the time, he said he was short of money that was due, and to so many reasons such as equipment at the oil rig malfunctions, payment did not go through, his account, etc. I dodged all the remarks about money by raising the topic about how he never pays attention to my ranting on my hobbies. I'm not sure what other scammers' modus operandi are, but this scammer is so full of himself that he loves to send his topless pictures and videos. I mean, really a lot. Some are sexually explicit, but not nude. He did not pressure me for my pictures, nor any sexy pictures. Most of his pictures are in a room, more of a hotel room setting. At the back of my mind, I kept saying to myself, if this is Lim, he must be a male prostitute or a porn artist, or just a pure imbecile. Some of the pictures were as if taken by a professional. There were also outdoor pictures at a restaurant that I noticed which were in Singapore and Malaysia, as I've been there before. I didn't comment on it. All of a sudden, he said he's in Thailand for a contract work and staying at his client's house due to financial difficulties. He said he cannot cash out his money because there are CCTV cameras all over. He is so dumb that he gave me the agent's bank name, account number, and the agent's name, which was an African name but a Malaysian bank. Again, I dodged the topic of money. I did a reverse image search on all the pictures on so many platforms and was able to get a hit. Also, I checked the email address, and it said the email address was legit. I went through an extensive check on his California phone number and found out that's an unknown number. Why do I keep talking to him? He doesn't text me frequently. At times I felt as if I was talking to 3 different people, similar to split personality disorder. It is so transparent that the language and tone differ among these 3 limbs that I talk to. I was indeed curious. Most of the time I bombarded him with my pitiful life story. It all came to an end when he stupidly video called me. At first I refused to answer it, but then after the 3rd ring I answered it by remaining mute. I was in a dark room at the time, so my screen was black, and so was his. There were sounds, but mostly music in the background, music that I will never listen to in my entire life. Then his screen lit up, and there, behold, was a Nigerian man on the screen saying hello in a bright white room. I hung up immediately. He then texted me apologizing for making the call due to mistakes. Instantly, I blocked him on Hangouts and WhatsApp. It was a hilarious experience to me because this scammer was very clumsy. We'd like to thank these 3 people for sharing their fun stories about scammers who revealed themselves on webcam. If you'd like to share your scammer encounter, whether it be a tragic one or a funny one, we're welcome to all stories. You can inbox us on Facebook under Scamming Scammers Action or drop us an email, scammingscammers@gmail.com. Please give us 3 days to reply to you via email. After we verify your story, we will make it into a video. Thanks for listening. Bye.